Good morning, everybody. I hope all of you are physically healthy and mentally happy. Also, I really hope all of you are more serious about your daily practice, particularly for this month. It looks like since we start the Vesak month, look like everybody put in retreat. In a one way, it's a bit difficult not to have like a free movements. In the other hand, it's really good to have a lot of times to study, practice, and meditation. Therefore, I hope all of you are more serious about your Dharma practice. So before we start the actual class, everybody try to be relaxed, physically, mentally, without having relaxing in mind, without mind relax. Actually, we don't have the physical relaxation. So when we need to rest, when we need a rest, first we try to have the mind for rest. When the mind is become very peace, free from the destruction, the next, the physical body, the body become very relaxed. For example, so when we have a lot of dreams, nightmares, like a lot of difficult, scary dreams, when we woke up early morning, if we usually feel, I am so tired because whole night your minds were very busy having all kinds of dreams. Therefore, the physical body become very tired. Also, so many people say, oh, we just have a relax, watch movie, be relaxed. While you are watching movie, you cannot have the mental resting. Then we don't have, the physical body cannot be rest. Therefore, watching movie and in the other hand, you are thinking I'm resting is totally contradiction. Therefore, try to be mentally very relaxed. Then, as usual, please concentrate on your breath. Then sometime you stop to breathe in and out. After you fully breathe out, you stop for a while. After you fully breathe in, also you need to stop for a while. It help you to have the deeper concentration. Second, we need to realize every morning when you feel your breath, that means you are still alive. So when you recognize, when you feel you are still alive, so the first thought we must have. So since today until my death, I can be, dying today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we never know. Therefore, first you contemplate on the uncertainty about our life. Nothing can be sure. Nothing can be certain to last forever. We don't have any guarantee to live tomorrow. We don't have a guarantee, all our belongings belongs to us. So please meditate on uncertainty, impermanence, and death. Also here, we must remember the healthy decline and by sickness. The youth and by aging. Then the prosperity and with the decline. Then the life and by death. Then the aging, death, declining the prosperity, unhealthy, everything caused by the karmas. Karmas arise from attachment, desire, anger, and ignorance. Please contemplate on the origin of sufferings, which is ignorance then all the afflictive emotion, or we can go all the negative emotions. Then we engage into different actions. Then all the sufferings, problems, difficulties, unpleasant thing arise. If there's no any means to overcome sufferings and cause of sufferings, then there's no point to think about sufferings and cause of suffering. So this is not the case. There's a means or methods how to overcome from sufferings and the cause of sufferings. Particularly, in order to free from sufferings, first we must free from the cause of sufferings. In order to free from the cause of sufferings, we need to apply, we need to practice the antidotes for each of the negative thoughts. Particularly, being a human, the attachment is one of the worst cause to produce sufferings. Attachment can be controlled, can be reduced. So when we meditate on ugliness, essenceless, meaningless, therefore, please everybody meditate on essenceless, ugliness, and the meaningless, according to what kind of attachment do you have towards the object. Object can be the physical things, object can be the non-physical things, object can be like sentient beings. So you need to realize which attachment is very strong. So which attachment always disturb you. So according to your attachment, please try to meditate on the antidotes. So anger, hatred usually arise based or caused by attachment. Somebody has a very strong attachment towards your belongings. Somebody break it, you get angry. When you get angry, so you have a sense of you really hate the person who broke your things. Or you have a very strong attachment towards one of your, like a friends, your boyfriends or girlfriends or husband or wife, or let's say one of your closeness friends. You have an attachment. And someone talk to the person, someone touch the person, you get angry. Then you accumulate the angry, then you have a very strong, sense of hatred towards a person whom touch, who did touch to your friends. Or you have somebody have a very strong attachment, pride about, your position, your name, your property. So you are very attached, your money is very attached to your position, name, fame, property. Or somebody talk about little bit bad about your position. Somebody try to take over your position. Somebody try to take, your property. Then you get very angry because you have a so strong attachment. Then you can see the hatred caused by anger, anger caused by attachment, attachment caused by ignorance. Things not that beautiful as appear to us, but due to ignorance, we not able to recognize. Therefore, ignorance cause all the afflict emotions, the karma. So therefore, each of the negative thoughts have a antidotes. So we have been studying Dharma for many years, even though I've been here more than 8 years, almost 8 years. So many of you, have been attending the Dharma class with me. So for the last many years, what we have been talking about. So what we have been studying, we, didn't study about politics, history, science, maths. We only study Dharma. So we have been studying Dharma. So if we don't apply the antidotes, the knowledge you have for many years accumulation, if you don't apply the Dharma, then I said many times that there's no point to study and listening Dharma, attending class, no points. Particularly so during the pandemic time, it is a very crucial, important time to apply the Dharma, apply the antidotes in order to reduce all the negative thoughts, all the negative emotions. If you, every day, when you apply the antidotes, when something happens, then for you, look like nothing did happen for you. Because something happened around you, it happened every time, still you can remain happily, very peacefully. So it doesn't mean you are ignoring everything. You ignore things around you. For example, you have one of the dearest, kind of relative. So he or she, one of the closer your relatives pass away this morning. So we must recognize we lost our your dearest person. Then you feel very upset, be very unhappy. It doesn't change the situation. The person who passed away, the person already died. Being upset, the person never come back. So that moment, you must remember the Dharma, how to control your negative thoughts, how to control your emotions, how you try to be happy, try to be a very peaceful person. It doesn't mean you ignore the tragedy. Yes, you are fully pay attention about the tragedy, but still you can remind very happily, peacefully, that you can deal the problem, the situation. Therefore, so the COVID problems we have, so should not be very upset, should not be feel very insecure about life. If you practice Dharma purely, I say purely, if you practice the truth Dharma, your life always secure. Not only this life, your next life, after next life, until you become Buddha, your life is secure. So practicing Dharma is the best, insurance for this life, next life, after next life. Right? Therefore, so after you have done the breathing meditation, then suddenly you try to practice the first true truth, suffering and origin of suffering. But you should not think, oh, I have been practicing Four Noble Truth because I read the books, I know the number. No, you need to go through your daily experience. Then meditate on the path to lead to cessation. Then the Four Noble Truth, you can extend more precisely, deeper way, link with the 12 links. When you have a very clear picture about the 12 link dependent origination, then you are very strong, you have a very strong conviction, you have a confidence, I can be free from suffering, I can achieve liberation, I can be Buddha, right? The Four Noble Truths. So after you meditate on Four Noble Truths, then you're not just meditating on, the three kinds of suffering based on you. Also at the same time, you are meditating to the suffering for all sentient beings. Then suddenly you remember the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and prostration. Do prostration few times. That means you fully pay respect to the Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, because you notice those three jewels are very, very, very important. The most important in your life, next life, until Buddha. Therefore, you did, you naturally you pay respect. Then take a refuge, because you knew this is the origin of suffering, this is suffering, this is cessation, this is a path to lead to cessation. So in order to free from suffering, I really need a refuge, which is Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and your Guru, the qualified Guru who has all the qualities. take refuge. So before you take refuge, I say usually you must have a simple, altar, set up a Buddha image or picture or, like a painting, whatever. As a Buddhist, we must have, symbol of Buddha, then teaching. So you no need to buy a very expensive, Buddha statue. You don't have to buy expensive thangka. You at least need an image of the Buddha in order to remember the Buddha, right? Then last time we talked about, how to set up offerings. After you set up offering, then you need to take you need to generate bodhicitta. Therefore, page number 7, facing paintings, statues, and so forth of the completely enlightenment one, reliquaries and the excellent teaching of our flowers, incense, whatever you have. So last time I also explained this one. Then stanza number 8, with a 7-part offering from the prayers of the noble conduct, with the thoughts never to turn back to you again till you gain ultimate enlightenment. So the last 2 sentences is very important. With the thoughts never to turn back, never give up, never give up. If you realize you have a serious illness, the illness is very serious. It can cost your life. Since you realize, then you seriously looking a doctor who can cure the cancer, the sickness. So far, we already have the best doctor who can give us the prescription to cure our sickness, the sickness of aging and death, the samsaric sickness, sickness of attachment, anger, ignorance. We already have the best doctor, which is Buddha Shakyamuni. All the Indian master, then Chinese, Tibetan, whoever. Also right now, so we have the best doctor, which is the qualified guru. We should not be just happy having, the qualified guru and teacher. We should not just satisfied having the qualified guru. When you have a serious illness, you should not be just happy to have a qualified doctor. You need to get advice from the doctor. You need to get a prescription from the doctor. Yes, all of you have been receiving advice, receiving prescription about how to cure our problem in daily lives, problem in samsara, how to cure my anger, how to cure my attachment. You got more than enough instructions. But we have a problem. We just got the instruction. We bought all kinds of medicine, right? We have all kinds of medicine which is received from the doctor, but from the pharmacy shop. There's all the Buddhist centers, temples are look like, the pharmacy shop. Then all the master, teacher like me, so I am the kind of, person who give you the medicine according to the doctor prescription according to Buddha Shakyamuni. So Tibetan Buddhist Center is a pharmacy shop. Many of you got so many instruction, the medicine from Tibetan Buddhist Center, other Buddhist center as well. We have a lot of medicine bought from different centers and temple, the Dharma medicine. But one problem we have, we don't eat the medicine. We eat sometime, not every day, every moment. We don't eat the Dharma medicine. We eat when we already sick. It's too late. So the medicine can be two, one for prevention, one for actual curing the sickness. So we totally neglect, be very careless about the prevention sickness. So when we get angry, then remember, oh, I must practice compassion, not easy. So when you already have so many problems, then you try to see, teacher, guru, lama, try to get advice. Not easy, because we've been very careless about not be serious about the prevention. Stop things before happen. Then when it's happened gradually. It cannot be, become very strong. So you're able to control. Therefore, never turn back, till you gain ultimate enlightenment. And with a strong faith in the three jewels, there's a faith, not just faith, very strong, pure, very firm way faith. Three jewels. Kneeling with one knee on the ground and your hands pressed together. First of all, take refuge 3 times. Next, beginning with the unaltitude. So this is the new lesson. Next, beginning with an attitude of love for all living creatures. So after you have taken refuge, then you need to visualize all sentient beings around you. So when we visualize all sentient beings, we can see there are so many different, kinds of sentient beings. Each of the sentient being has problems, sufferings, particularly the being in lower realms. They have a full of sufferings. So when you feel the sufferings, then you need to generate love for all living creature, not only your friends and family, relatives. The love for all living beings, particularly your enemy. Many people say, I don't have an enemy. Yes, this is very good. Still, the person, whom you don't like, whom you, been hated. So, living creature, consider being excluding known, very important, excluding known. So as a Mahayana practitioner, we should not exclude anybody, even though somebody, somebody going to kill you, someone next to you, holding a big knife, holding a gun, he or she going to kill you, you knew that time you should not get angry person. You should not, forget generating love and compassion, the person who's going to kill you. Because that moment, we need to recognize the anger is very bad. Hatred is very bad. Attachment is very bad. Look at the person going to kill me because he hates me. He or she is very angry on me. Therefore, this is the fault, angry, consequence of angry. Therefore, we must differentiate between the being and the action of the being. All the negative actions caused by anger, attachment, desire. The person, you get angry or be a very compassionate person, the person is still, like a human being, sentient being. We must have a love and compassion. Or sometimes, also, I think these days is very common. So when you walk around, I can see, so when you walk around in the park, so you have to put your mask. You need to wear your mask very properly. You should not just live here, right? Just fully cover your nose and mouth. Someday you feel very hot, you feel so tired. Then your mouth, you put it down here, just cover your mouth. Then the people who has a duty, they say, oh, no, you put up. Suddenly, you get angry. You feel very agitation. This moment, you must remember, the person have to say, he or she has the responsibility. He or she is not saying willingly. So he or she has a responsibility. Why he or she said, it's not, benefit for them. They're telling us better to put your mask fully. Make sure you're not going to get the virus. So that time we don't understand the motivation. We don't understand, we not try to understand the responsibility. We just get angry towards the person who asks you to, fully mask. So we should not mix up the person, the action done by the person. Somebody done bad action towards you, you must recognize the action is very bad. It doesn't mean the person is bad. But if the person is being very naughty, being very, kind of bad person for only few hours, maybe few years, at the end, he or she, became your friends. Therefore, here say, to get, excluding non. This is very important. Also, when you exclude one being from your object of compassion, then your compassion cannot be very complete. Then your compassion becomes biased. You generate compassion for 99.999. You exclude 0.1. It cannot be complete. Therefore, please make sure when you generate compassion, you should not exclude any sentient beings. Also, if somebody have been doing nasty thing, like bad thing to you, you should not just be quiet. You must respond. You must, take action to stop, doing the negative things to you. You must take action. When you are taking action, you must take action sense of love and compassion, not sense of hatred and anger, right? Therefore, this is very important. Excluding non, suffering in the three bad rebirths, suffering birth, death, and so forth. So he's talking about how we generate love, compassion, tolerance, kindness. Focus on all sentient beings, particularly the beings in the lower realms, and generate love and compassion. Also, visualize all sentient being who has a sufferings of birth, aging, and death. Among the three, birth, still we can understand, we already, born. So many people don't understand the suffering of the aging. The aging suffering is, I think, one of the most difficulty kind of sufferings. Because when you go around, you not just walk around. You observe each of the person, particularly the elderly people. Most of them, alone, they have a very lonely feeling. And physically, they become very weak. And they cannot go for long walking. They cannot eat so many things. There's like diabetes, sugar, hepatitis, cancer, so many problems. So the aging, suffering of the aging is not easy to control. Therefore, before we fully become very old, we must prepare how to control the emotional problems. So if you have a good Dharma knowledge, if you know how to practice the Dharma can be your the best friend in your daily life when you have become very old, when you are, be alone, the Dharma is the best friend. When you're sick, Dharma is the best friend. When you become very poor, the Dharma is your best friend. So when you have a strong ego, Dharma can be your best friend to reduce your ego. Therefore, so aging, the suffering of the aging suffering is very difficult. I can see when I look at the elderly people. And also when many of you have relatives like a brother, sister, father, mother who are very old. When they physically become very old, mentally they look like a very child. They cannot remember, become very careless. They become very happy with a little thing, angry and upset with very little thing. So you have to know the emotion, the mind of the elderly people when you take care of them. Make sure you should not exclude them when you practice love and compassion. Right? This is very important. Exclude none. Suffering in the three birth, death, rebirth, suffering, birth, death, and so forth. Then, since you want to free these beings from the suffering of the pain, from suffering and the cause of suffering, arose immutable the resolve at an enlightenment. This means, so I give you an example. So you are the very wise person in your family. You really like your family. You have a pure love for your family. So when all your families are sick, then you really want to care them. You really want to, let them free from sickness. The first thing you should think, I want to be doctor. I want to be the best doctor. If I become best doctor, I can take care of my whole family. I can give them the best medicine, cure the sickness. Same way, likewise, when you visualize all sentient beings, then you can see the sufferings and problem. Also, you can feel their sufferings and problem. Then when you feel the suffering problem, suddenly many people become very unhappy. Many people feel, a lot of disturbance. Therefore, people don't think about suffering. This is not a wise way. You must remember, you must see the suffering and wish them free from suffering. Wish them, be happy. Wish them free from cause of suffering. Wish them to have a cause of happiness. So you are just wishing. You don't have the ability. You don't have a power. Then next, when you think, oh, if I become a Buddha, then I can free them from suffering. I can free them from cause of suffering. I can bring them for the enlightened state. I can teach them how to free from sufferings. So becoming Buddha is like becoming the best doctor in your family to save your family from sickness and the cause of sickness. So therefore, when you see the suffering beings, immediately you need to generate the pure, strong motivation, the mind to be Buddha, to benefit all sentient beings. Now you can see the steps. You can see the sequence. Suffering, then generate bodhicitta. Generate bodhicitta. Since you want to free those beings from the sufferings of pain, from suffering and the cause of suffering, there is the immutable resolve to attain enlightenment. That means simply saying, generate the compassion, generate the love, based on love and compassion, generate the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta. So many of you, have been attending teaching from His Holiness many times. His Holiness said many times, when you are happy, practice bodhicitta. When you are not happy, practice bodhicitta. When you need more friends, practice bodhicitta. If you don't want enemy, practice bodhicitta. If you want to be famous, practice bodhicitta. If you want to have a lot of reputation, practice bodhicitta. So when you wish to be Buddha, practice bodhicitta. Wish to benefit others, practice bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is very, very, very important. Not just saying important. If you have a bodhicitta, if you every day practice bodhicitta, there's no anger, no anger, no attachment, no desire, no pride, no enemy. You fully feel very satisfied. You feel very happy. Because always you be very calm, peace. Then once you really practice bodhicitta, you look like you already, into pure land. You already, erupt in the pure land. Therefore, practicing bodhicitta is very important. For example, why, His Holiness Dalai Lama is very famous? Because not he is a, king of Tibet. No. There are so many kings in the world. We have a, king in Burma, Thailand, queens, so many kings and, like queens. Those are not famous as Dalai Lama. Why he is very famous? Why millions of people, respect Dalai Lama? Because not he is a Tibetan king of Tibet. Because not he is because he is a Sangha, not because he is a Rinpoche. He has bodhicitta. Every day he practiced bodhicitta. So when you see him, you feel very happy because of power of bodhicitta. Right? Therefore, practicing bodhicitta is very important. Everybody can practice. It doesn't cost any money. Doesn't cost any money. We need a time, we need an effort to practice bodhicitta. Therefore, in the next sentence, the quality of the developing such as aspiration are fully explained by Maitreya in the area of Trang Sutra. Having learned about the infinite benefits of the intention to gain full enlightenment by reading the sutra or listening to the teacher arose repeatedly to make it steadfast. The sutra requested by Odata fully explained the merit therein. At this point, in summary, I will cite just 3 verses. The infinite benefits. So if you want to know more about the benefit of the bodhicitta, the generating benefit of bodhicitta, you can read the Bodhisattva way of life, the chapter, the benefit of bodhicitta. So many of you feel, include me, oh, I don't have enough money, I'm not a happy person, I have so many problems, right? Every day we think this way. So when you practice bodhicitta, then you never feel I'm very poor. You can think, yes, physically, I don't have a lot of physical things like money, house, car. I don't need. Those are not my achievement. My achievement is Buddhahood. So when you practice bodhicitta, you feel your life is very content. So yeah, the benefit of bodhicitta has infinite benefits. Then, Adisha said, I will explain the benefit into only 3 stanzas. Number 15. Number 15. If it possesses physical form, so that the benefit, the merit, you gain through practicing bodhicitta, the merit, the karma become a form, physical form, the merit of the altruistic intention would completely fill with the whole of the space and accept even that. Can you imagine? Just 1 or 2 minutes when you generate bodhicitta, you can get limitless, the numberless benefits. The amount of benefit we cannot really imagine. So Buddha himself said, the merit of you gain through practicing bodhicitta, it is become a form. This universe, whole universe is not enough to put the merit. Right? Therefore, it's said by Buddha, you can accept those, the teaching literally. You don't need any interpretation. Therefore, so we have been talking for many years, right? Oh, accumulating merit, purifying negative karma. The practice in bodhicitta is the best means or methods for purifying negative karma. Practicing bodhicitta is the best way to accumulating merit. Therefore, when you read the benefit of bodhicitta in the Buddhist way of life. He said, when you practice bodhicitta, all the negative thoughts become very weak. Also, is explained very clearly, the easiest way to accumulate merit is the practice bodhicitta. So we have been talking accumulating merit, purifying negative karma, free from obstacles. If you really want to be a happy person, practice bodhicitta. If you really want to purify your negative karmas, practice bodhicitta. If you really wish to accumulate merit, practice bodhicitta every day, every moment. Therefore, one time Visuddhimagga Lama said, it's quite, he said it's quite funny. He said, so when we do the sadhana, like visualize Buddha, visualize deity, reciting the Yamantaka sadhana, Vajrayogi sadhana, we cannot do the sadhana in the toilet, sitting on the toilet bowl. You cannot do the sadhana, right? Bodhicitta, you can practice when you are in the toilet bowl, whatever you are, toileting. So you can practice bodhicitta anywhere. The timing, you can practice anytime. The place, you can practice anywhere. It doesn't cost any money. So when we make a soul offerings, it costs money to buy fruits, cookie and biscuits. Also, when we buying, like when we collecting the thangka or picture, costs money. So practicing bodhicitta doesn't cost any cents. You can practice anywhere. So it possesses physical form, the merit of the altruistic intention. Altruistic intention, bodhicitta is a synonymous. You should not have a confusion. The world completely filled with the whole of space and except even that. If someone were to fill with the jewels, as many Buddha feel as they are as grain of the sand in the Ganges, offered to the protector of the world, this world be surpassed by the gift of the folding one hands and in inclining one of mind of enlightenment, for such as is limitless. So that means there's a billions of Ganges sands. According to the number of sand, there's billions of Buddha fields. So you can offer things completely filled with each of the Buddha field. Definitely we can have a lot of merits. So if you practice bodhicitta, you can have more benefits than the making offering according to the number of the Ganges sand to the field of Buddha. So next one, stanza number 18. Having developed the aspiration of enlightenment, constantly enhance its thought through concentrated effort to remember it is in this and also in other life. Keep the precept properly as explained. Right? That means, let's say everybody really realize bodhicitta is very important. We can have a lot of benefits. I can have a lot of benefits. So bodhicitta is very important. I don't want to don't want to miss the opportunity this lifetime. This lifetime, yes, you can do the practice bodhicitta until you died. Then next life, we don't know, right? So in order to practice bodhicitta continuously, next life after next life, then we realize, it is so important to born, take a rebirth in the higher realms, not the lower realms. Particularly, it is important to born as a human being in again and again. Therefore, first we need to practice the shila, the morality, precepts. Therefore, remember three perfection, practicing perfection of generosity, then ethical discipline, patience. Three things very important. If you practice Shila every day, then next life, after next life, continuously we will born as a human. The born in human is nothing special. You can see there's so many millions of human beings. They don't have any opportunity to practice Dharma. They don't have the facility to live happily. They don't have a facility to able to practice Dharma. Then born as an excellent person. Second, we need the excellent condition. Therefore, practicing generosity. Yes, you have an excellent, you're born as a human. You have an excellent condition. If you are physically very ugly, or physically you have a lot of sickness and disease, then also you cannot continuously practice Dharma. Therefore, third, practicing patience is very important, right? Therefore, he's saying, explain how to take the precepts. Number 18. Having developed the aspiration for enlightenment, constantly enhance it is through the concentrated effort. So we really need to put continuously, constantly. We need to put effort to practice bodhicitta and this life. For the next life, we need continuous, the continuum effort. Still, we need to born as a, human. Therefore, to remember it in this and also in the other lives, keep the precepts properly as explained. The precept, keep the precept properly. So, therefore, it is very important to have a vows. There's 8, different levels of vow. As a lay person, the best, you can take the lay person precepts, lay person vows. Mainly the 4 root vows. Then, stopping, taking alcoholics. So among the 5, everybody notice if you drink alcohol every day, it causes life. It causes a lot of sickness, disease, become very fatty, diabetes and sugar. If you killed someone, there's a huge problem. If you steal things from other, there's a lot of problems. Therefore, better to should not kill anybody. It's better to not steal anything. Then lying. If you're lying one time, then you need to lie second, third in order to protect yourself. Then if you always lying, you become liar. Then nobody trusts you. None of your family as a friend trusts you is no good. Then the sexual misconduct. As a lay person, it's really okay to have the sexual relationship. Having sexual neither negative nor positive. If you have a vows, you should not. Then, if you are a lay person, if you have the physical relationship, many people also you can see cause decline your like a poverty, decline your economics, because somebody sue you in the court, or you need to give a lot of money here and there. It costs a lot of money. Also, this day there are so many dangerous sickness and disease. you can contingent the disease. Also, if you are a married person, then you really should not do any kind of, the sexual relationship with others. So many people, the divorce case, many people, like couple, one husband want to divorce. The wife can be bear other problem. If the husband have a sexual relationship with other, the wife cannot accept. Same way, husband also, the wife going around, drink alcohol, smoking, meeting friend, having party, the husband can understand, can accept. If the husband notice, wife having, like a sexual relationship with someone, the husband cannot accept. Therefore, many cases people want divorce is happen this. Therefore, look at the root vow is you better to take a vows. Then alcohol, right? Alcohol. If you are a sick person, you can take the alcohol as a medicine. If you are physically very healthy, no need to drink alcohol, then you must stop taking alcohol. Therefore, the 5 precepts as look like foundation. Then above the 5, then you can take another 3 and add so and so. So we have to practice the vows. Then stanza number 19. Without the vow of the engaged in intention, perfect aspiration will not grow. Make effort definitely to take it, since you want the wish of enlightenment to grow. First, the Pratimoksha vows. The second, you need to take the Bodhisattva vows. Without taking Bodhisattva vows, you cannot really develop furthermore the Bodhicitta. Therefore, so today we stop here about taking vows. Therefore, as said, beginning of the Vesak month. So I know many of you already has taken the vows. So, first day of the Vesak month. Also, if you haven't taken the vows, also you can think, just simple, you can think since tomorrow morning until end of the Vesak month, I will take the vows. Not killing, no stealing, no lying, no not having like sexual misconduct or no sexual, then no alcohol. Plus, if you could, then you can say, I will breakfast, lunch, no dinner. Then if you can, then you can say, tomorrow morning, I will take breakfast, tomorrow lunch, since day after tomorrow morning, 4:30 or 5, I won't eat any food except drink. Light drink, like light juice, okay, tea, okay. And someone asking tea with the milk or not, I say tea with the milk, okay. If you drink just milk, the milk has a power to fulfill your stomach, that you cannot feel hungry. So therefore, you totally stop taking non-veg food. You should, if you want, you should take breakfast, lunch, no dinner. Then if you want, breakfast, lunch, no dinner, tomorrow whole day, no food. Do the fasting practice. Then, based on the fasting practice, then you can recite, you can do chanting. Most important, you must do a lot of meditation, particularly, generating bodhicitta, right? So when you do meditation, you cannot really feel hungry and thirsty because your mind becomes very calm, like very calm. Then you don't have a lot of physical activities. You cannot really feel hungry. So Today we can stop our class here. So we have right now we have another, I think, 20 minutes Q&A. Anybody want to ask question about how to practice? In whatever you have questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, Geshe-la. So the question is, I cannot even practice much concentration, and I'm not able to treat friends and enemies equally. How can I practice bodhicitta? I can imagine like faking practicing bodhicitta only. And I don't understand when Geshe-la say practice bodhicitta.
Not able to concentrate, not having good concentration is a very, very common problem for everybody. Very common problems. As a basic, as a foundation, every moment, whatever you do with mindfulness. These are very basic. If everything you done with a mindfulness, with a one thought, slowly, then you can have a habit to have a, just one thought, not many thoughts. Living in a busy place, particularly living in Singapore, we are generally very busy. Sometimes we have to be busy. Sometimes we sometimes we been busy ourselves. Nobody asks you to be busy. Right? When you are office, because you have to complete things on time, you have to be very busy. Then sometimes we just being busy without any reason. You just busy yourself. For example, you're eating noodle, it's whole like whole chopstick, right? Very interesting. I can see. Yeah. There's holding a phone here, then there's a bowl and chopstick. Right? Chopstick. They use the chopstick, then this finger ping, 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 ping. Eat, ping, 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 ping. Very busy. While you are eating noodle, right? Or rice, the three finger is very busy with the chopstick. Other finger you put like this, and watching. And also, I can see on the roadside, people smoke. What? We just busy ourselves. No need to be busy. Right? So many things we do in the same time. So we need to reduce this kind of activities. While you're eating, like food, you must eat with the mindfulness. Okay, now I'm eating a noodle. I'm using a chopstick. Oh, the noodle or the rice taste is very sweet, sour, hot, or the noodle is very nice, the fragrance is very nice. Just do with one intention. After you finish your noodle, you must know I'm finished my lunch, my breakfast, my dinner. I'm leaving my chopstick here, spoon, everything clean. Or now I'm going out, I'm going bathroom and toilet. Just do things with a mindfulness, just one thought. One thought. This is the very foundation to have a good mindfulness. Second, you ask, I cannot really practice love and compassion for my families or my friends. I want to practice bodhicitta. Directly, I'm saying you cannot. You cannot. You look like, see, I want to fly. I don't have a wing. I don't have a wings, but still I want to fly. You cannot. Cannot. So here I asking you a question, why you cannot practice love and compassion towards your friends? I don't think you're talking about all your friends. You are talking about one or two very particular friends. You don't like them, they don't like you, still you look like kind of friends. Or with a family, or you don't like them, or you like them, or they don't like you, still you live as a family in a one house, one place. Each time when you see each other, you get angry. So this, if you have this kind of problem, first you need to analyze why I'm not happy with them. If you really think I'm happy with them, but they are not happy with me, then you need to analyze first why you are not happy with them. Second, you need to analyze why they are not happy with me. What's the really problem? What are the causes and conditions, not happy each other? You need to do analysis. You need to analyze. Same idea, you need to think about your friends. Sometimes, problem caused based on misunderstanding. So you never clear the understanding between your friends and family, then there's always problem because the misunderstanding is always there between you and your family and your friend. You need to clarify, you need to clear the misunderstanding. Oh, the problem is not misunderstanding. The problem is just your daily kind of actions, your daily things. For example, in the family, we know, I'm not criticizing any family. One of the person in the family, they always eat the food. They don't wash the plate and spoon, just leave on the table, leave on the like a washing area. They don't care, just eat and go out. The rest of the family need different, not happy with this you. I'm not saying you who ask a question, the person. Because the person don't care except eating. Or the person, they take a shower. After showering, they don't clean bathroom and toilet. Sometimes the people forget to press the, the flash button. If you have this kind of habit, of course, not going to happy with you. The problems caused by your habits and action, definitely you need to change your habits, your mental culture, your mindset. Then, many people have the problem in Singapore. I know so many of my friends, I'm not happy with my family. I want to move out, rent a small house. I say, it's okay. When they move out, rent a small apartment, still he have to meet, the people who live around them. Slowly, everybody become enemy, this person. Because this person never tried to change yourself, never tried to be better person, never tried to be more hygiene person. Therefore, there's a problem. Sometimes there's a problem between families because there's a very common again. Parent not happy with you. I'm not saying you mean the who asked the question, you. Because the parent has a very high expectation. You can make a lot of money, you can have a lot of property and business, good job, good position, make a lot of money, then you can give money for the parents. You cannot do that, the parent not happy. Also brother and sister, uncle, auntie, they have expectation. You cannot fulfill their expectation, then they are not happy. This is not your problem, this is their problem. So this kind of problem you have, step number one, you need to analyze, you need to study, be honest, do study. After study, then you're going to realize the cause of the problems. If you realize that you must change the cause and condition, then you are okay with your friends and family. Sometimes you try to be nice, you try to be best for them. Somehow they are not happy. Then you really need to ignore their reaction. Just ignore. Look like when you hear something, you need to put, I didn't hear anything. I didn't say anything. I'm okay with them, they're okay with them, me. Just try to be happy. Yes, your last question, without practicing love and compassion towards all sentient beings, you really cannot practice bodhicitta. Next question.
Yeah, next question comes from Christine.
Geshe-la, my question has two parts. One is there a difference by just taking refuge or taking refuge with bodhicitta? If yes, this is the second part. If yes, then why can't we generate bodhicitta before taking refuge? Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking this question. The first, practicing renunciation, taking refuge, is a common between Theravada and Mahayana. Just taking refuge is not enough to say you're taking, vows. These are different. Taking refuge and taking vows is different. Second, you ask why we should take the vows than the bodhicitta. Cannot. For example, I'm using, the common example. For example, someone have a very neutral mind towards someone. Let's say a man has a just neutral mind for a lady. He really doesn't like, he really doesn't have just normal feeling. Right? The person never do any commitment to do, good things for the lady. The lady won't do any commitment to do something for the man. They don't have any feeling each other. Once the man really fall in love with a man, the man really fall in love in the woman, then they have a feeling, carry each other, sharing each other. Then there's a commitment. It's okay, I really like you. I do this for you. I do this commitments, right? The commitments, the vows must come with a kind of mind or feeling towards someone. You don't have any love, compassion towards all sentient beings. You're not going to say, whatever I will do for all sentient beings. Even though you are just saying, you're not really, making commitments. The commitments, the vows must come with the feeling. Therefore, when you see the suffering beings, suddenly you have a sense of love and compassion. When you really have a love and compassion, then you will have a commitment to do something for those sentient beings. Commitment must come from after generating bodhicitta. Mean, I will become Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. This is the bodhicitta mind, right? Bodhicitta mind. Then second, you have a commitment, I will practice this bodhicitta until I become a Buddha. Then you are making a commitment to practice bodhicitta until you become a Buddha. This is just aspirational vows. Then third, then there's another vow we call engaging vows. This means first, you have a strong aspiration to be Buddha, to benefit all sentient beings. Based on then, you have a commitment. I will practice the bodhicitta until become Buddha. The commitment come based on the feeling. So without feeling, nobody have a commitments. Without generating bodhicitta, you cannot make a commitment. You cannot have a vows or promise. Understand?
Gishila, I don't understand fully. Actually, Gishila said that there is a difference between taking refuge and taking vows.
Yeah.
The question is about taking refuge. Gishila just now gave a very clear explanation on taking vows.
Mm-hmm.
Taking
Yeah.
refuge.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference between just taking refuge, simple refuge, I mean refuge with a simple mind, or taking refuge with a bodhicitta?
Yes, first, there's a big difference just taking refuge and vows. Clear? Second, there's a differences between taking vows and bodhisattva vows. Taking refuge is not, for example, you are sick, you are seriously ill, then you are looking a doctor. When you see doctor, then you are saying, doctor, please, save me, try to be my doctor. This is, you are just taking a refuge, look like. Just, be my doctor, save me. This is just look like, taking refuge to the doctor, but not the vows. Or the vows. Second, you say, oh, you are the best doctor for me to cure my sickness. So until today, I won't see any doctor except you. Then you are taking a vows plus a refuge. Refuge, then plus vows. Right? This is taking a refuge and taking the vows. The best on taking a refuge and vows, then you generate bodhicitta, then take the bodhisattva vows. Quite clear?
Yes, Gishila, thank you.
Sure? Okay, next question.
Gishila, could you tell us something more about the sutra requested by Viradatta mentioned in verse 14?
This is sometime I'm not, criticizing who asks question, whoever. For example, I give you very new example, right? Singapore government said there's no dining at all. We cannot ask why then just one person sit on the chair, eat food. Why? Right? You no need to ask this question. You just, government said, you no dining, then no dining. Then you no need to know when they, finalize, how they finalize, one kind of meeting, who attend this meeting, who did this. So therefore, the Dada Sutra, you no need to know. If you want to know, I said you read the Bodhisattva way of life, particularly the second chapter of benefiting bodhicitta. So this thing, simply, do you remember, we have three levels of the phenomena. The what are called visible or manifest phenomena. Manifest phenomena, we no need to study, we no need to use logical reasonings. Fire is hot, the air is moving. Right? No need to do any logical reasoning. We can see, we can feel through our naked eyes. No need reason. Second, the subtly or the hidden phenomena, like next life, previous life, Buddhahood, liberation, omniscience, those are, we don't understand with our mind, the general mind. We need to use logic reasoning to prove there's a next life, previous life, first, karma, so and so. Then there's a very, some phenomena we don't understand through logics and reasonings, through our own naked five senses. Those one we just follow based on the Buddha teachings. For example, Buddha said, when you practice bodhicitta, the merit can have a limitless benefits. You can accumulate the numberless merit. If the merit became a form, manifests into form, this whole world is not enough to contain the merits. So this thing, when you read the Sutra, is saying same thing. This one we just need to believe, need to accept, need to follow. Yeah. So sometimes I can see people are really want to know everything very detailed, which is very good aspiration. Sometimes you no need to know things more detailedly. You just accept, follow. So we really want to know, you just read the chapter 2 from the Bodhisattva way of life, the benefiting of the Bodhicitta. Very easy. Even though the Sutra, I don't think is translated into English or maybe in Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Geshe-la.
If you really want to know, then I will open the Sutra.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question.
Hmm?
I have a friend who seems to be interested in Buddhism. I share a bit of the reincarnation and we should not miss opportunity to practice in this life. But she said, I will not have any conscience when I will be reborn in next life, right? So why must I practice? So how do I explain to help her?
Right now, we are in 21st century, particularly, living in Singapore. Everybody, first, they are looking benefit for, the immediate benefits, immediate benefit. Right? The urgency, everybody is seeking solve the urgency problem, very urgent one. So, which is you have a very good motivation to explain your friend about Dharma for next life and previous life, which is very good motivation, good idea you have. So in order to explain to your friend about Dharma, first you have to be very happy, peaceful person. You have to be, very a stable person. Cannot, disturb with the external condition, inner condition. Then, because she's your friend, because you are meeting each other quite often. So if you be good practitioner, your friends will realize, oh, everybody become very agitated during the COVID. She looks very calm, happy, no problem. Oh, she lost, one of her close friend, but she seems okay. So what is the difference between me and her? Then she will realize, oh, because she studied Dharma, Buddhism, she practiced Buddha Dharma, therefore she's different than me. She's different than the other. Then slowly she will approach to you. Then best opportunity, the best time to introduce Dharma for her. This is a number one. Number two, as a friend, something you share with the happy events, happiness thing. Mostly friends share with you each other problems and sufferings, not much happiness. When she share you, family problem with her friends and so, then you need to give the right advice. You need to explain the best methods to overcome, certain problems. Then she will notice, oh, how come I didn't know? She knows. Since she said, I able to overcome the problem, then definitely she become very interested in religion, in particularly Buddhism. Since she follow Buddhism based on experience, that she follow, until she died. So I'll give you two ideas. First, you try to be happy, honest, not disturbing person. Second, when she share you the problems with anybody, any kinds of problem, you must give the right advice. You should not say, oh, you chant mantra, you chant this, chanting, this God temple. Should not. She cannot accept that right advice. Then I think within a few years, she can follow Dharma.
Yep.
Any question?
Yeah.
No? Right?
One last question.
Mhm.
Geshe-la, I feel like taking 8 precepts to eat 1 meal a day for the rest of the month. And for the rest of, but I worry that my body cannot take it, especially one day, 2 meals, and next day, no food seems even more difficult. I'm working and my job requires travel. What would be Geshe-la's advice?
Yes. First, I really appreciate your aspiration, your motivation, your intention. Just eat 1 meal, next day no meal. So yes, why not you just have a breakfast, early breakfast, you take a heavy lunch, just 1 meal, okay, 1 meal. Before 1 p.m., you just have a heavy breakfast, sorry, heavy lunch. You try next day, you can take it or you cannot take it. If you cannot take it, then for you, because you can feel, oh, I have a physical challenges, then for you, before 1 p.m., you just drink like a thick juice, because you are taking the juice as a medicine, not as a food. Then you should be okay. Then you cannot. Then you just take breakfast, lunch, no dinner, also okay. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm saying particular, the person, because he or she really want to practice the fasting, so she cannot take it. So this kind of person, exception to take a juice, the thick juice, for next day. Then day after tomorrow, the breakfast you should not take before 4:30. The breakfast always you take after 4:30, around 5. Because according to the modern timing, 1 a.m. we say it's already tomorrow, I can take a breakfast. Right? Okay, so
Geshe-la, so if take 8 precepts, can take breakfast?
yeah. First day breakfast, lunch. Second day no food. Actually, we don't have taking 1 meal precept. We don't have. Yeah.
Okay. One more last question, Geshe-la.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have dreams? Personally, I almost every night have dreams. Sometimes feel good, sometimes doesn't feel that good.
There must be a condition, causing condition have a dream, but there's no reason. Why I have a dream? Why I have a dream today? Why I didn't have a dream yesterday? You cannot find the reason. You need to find the causes condition. So mostly dream you can see related to your this lifetime. Mostly you have a dream what happened in the past. What happened in the past? Rarely you will have a dream what will happen this year, next year, after next year. You have a very rarely dream for the future. Most of the dream we have what happened in the past, this life or previous life. For you, sometimes you have a nice dream, you are happy about it. Sometimes you have a very Disturbing dreams, you are not happy about it, you're forgotten. This is just dream. Whether good, it doesn't mean physically is good. Is a bad, it doesn't mean physically is a bad. It's just, the mental image. You just look at both of his dream is not true. Then you can have a, sadness feeling when you have a bad dream. Also, you won't have a happy feeling when you have a good dream, because you are thinking the dream is real. You need to realize it's not real. It's just dream is dream. You need to forget. Okay, so I really appreciate all of you have been practicing Dharma, particularly for the Vesak month. I wish you have a happy Vesak month and have a happy Sunday, right? Happy Sunday. So last, we all together dedicate our merit. The merit we dedicate first for becoming Buddha, to benefit all sentient beings. Becoming Buddha, depending on practicing bodhicitta, 6 perfections. Therefore, we dedicate the merit to able to practice all the paths which lead to Buddhahood. Next, we dedicate the merit to benefit all sentient beings, include you and your families and friends, particularly the people, the family, individual who contribute to Tibetan Buddhist Center. Last, we dedicate the merit for world peace. Peace in all parts of the countries, all parts of the world. Because these days we have 2 serious problems. One, the COVID. Second, between Syria and the other countries. I hope you're not going to be serious. Dedicate the merit to, solve the conflicts between Israel and the Hamas people. Thank you so much and take care. Be safe. Okay.
Thank you.